We're your easy choice, 93.9 WYEC, and welcome back to Mid-Morning in the Cities. I'm Mike Kokett, joined today by Alvaro Macias with Centric Credit Union. And first of all, Alvaro, good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to everybody. Thank you, Mike, for having me again.
All right, glad to have you in here. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about raising money-savvy kids. Probably an easier things said than actually done, but we're going to try and help people along here this hour. First of all, why is that important?
Well, it's actually very important. When you first mention it, you might think, well, why do they have to be money savvy? Well, right now, the 18 to 24-year-olds are the fastest growing demographic that's declaring bankruptcy. I mean, they're not even getting a chance at establishing themselves in life, so they're going to go the wrong path. So it's really important that we start with our kids so that they make the right decisions and have a sound foundation when making financial decisions. It's really up to the parents or the kids themselves. Nowadays, kids, young people are bombarded by images in the media. They watch MTV, they watch music videos, MTV Cribs, and they're watching the real world. And you got these people who live in this really nice, condo or apartments, with pink felt pool tables. How realistic is that? That's not the real world. And they'll watch Jersey Shore, where all these kids are just spending money on expensive clothes, going out. It's really the images that they're seeing, and that's how they learn a lot of their spending. And even younger kids, they might be watching, there's a kids show called The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, where these kids live in a suite, and they got all this money. And again, that's not real, but these are the images that the young people are seeing, and they think that's, how you actually spend your money. Pretty realistic? No, but that's how they're learning. And also another thing to mention, college costs. They've been rising every single year. You hear our local colleges going up little by little, but on average, they've been going up 100% in the past 10 years. College costs. People are graduating with immense debt, and the national average is about $25,000 of debt when a person graduates. So a good portion of the debt could have been avoided with some sound financial principles and making some better decisions.
Right. And if someone say needs more information in regards to what we're talking about today, how can they go about getting that?
Well, two things. They can walk to a credit union, a central credit union, and get information, on how to help their kids learn more about being financially savvy, or just go online. There's so many tools out there. IowaCreditUnions.com has a lot of great information, a lot of financial tools, webinars, and that's one site that I refer to. And go to CNN.com or CNN Money. And just get the tips, do your research.
Okay, great. We're going to take a quick break. Again, we're talking with Alvaro Macias with Centric Credit Union as we continue with more of Mid-Morning in the Cities on your easy choice, 93.9 WYEC. Welcome back to Mid-Morning in the Cities on your easy choice, 93.9 WYEC. I'm Mike Kokett again today, talking with Alvaro Macias from Centric Credit Union. Today we're talking about raising money-savvy kids, and what do you teach the kids?
Well, you can start with the basics, budgeting, saving, simple terminology, how to make money. Teach them how to make money, talk to them about that, and the most important one would be delayed gratification. Depending on the children or at their age, you might have some kids who are really good at these things. You can talk about investing, borrowing credit cards as they're older. The other thing that I guess parents have to really work at is just saying no. How often are you, at the grocery store and you got these, this family pushing a cart full of just all kinds of junk food, but you got the kids making the decisions as far as what they want to eat and what they want the parents to buy. I mean, I've seen it. You know, you ride along and you see what kind of junk they're eating.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
It's not cheap. Well, it's one of the most basic fundamental building blocks for kids, so that they can be money smart. It's the ability of the parent to say no. And it's not just a simple no, you're not going to get that. Actually logically explaining why. One thing that I actually put into practice is my kids or my daughter will say, I want this, I want that. I'll say, well, today we're basically getting stuff that we need, not necessarily things that we want. And I've mentioned that before. But if you explain those things logically in that manner, they will have a grasp. It's not that you're saying no, or basically we don't have enough money for that, but maybe some other time we can save up for it. You can logically explain to them, if you save up your allowance, or if you do chores around the house, we can definitely get that. And another thing that we have done at the grocery store, I'll be pushing the cart with my baby. She'll want a toy. I'll say, well, you can play with it here. And we do all our shopping. She's playing with it. And by the time we get to the register, well, you want to say bye-bye to the toy? Okay. By the time we get to the end of we get to the checkout, she's done with it. The newness is gone, and I don't even have to buy the toy. Some might say I'm frugal, but it actually works, and we have way too many toys at the house, so we basically don't have any room.
Okay. And if you want to go about teaching kids money, how do you approach it?
Well, it depends as far as the when you teach the basics, the age. You got somebody under 5, it's going to be kind of hard. You can basically start with the basics of saving. Get them a little piggy bank. That gets them started with the idea of saving. But you got a kid from 5 to 8, you can talk about saving. You can also talk about making money. With this, you can ask them, hey, if you need to make $10 by next week, what would you do? And see how their mind works. Would you have a lemonade stand outside? What would you do? Would you ask me if I need some chores done, or go to the neighbor, see if you can do anything? You can also tell them about price shopping. If you're at a store that has toys but they're super expensive, like a grocery store, but they have expensive toys, you can let them know, well, we can get them cheaper somewhere else, and then you'll have some extra money to buy even more toys. And by the time you go to the next store, they might not care for the toy
right.
anyway. And you can tell them about delayed gratification. I guess that kind of touches on that. Just save your money and we can get it and get more stuff. You got kids from 9 to 13. Basically, their peers and the media do have the biggest influence. And but here you can discuss budgeting. Maybe give them, if we're going to a birthday party and it's one of their peers or a cousin who's about the same age, you can give them the money, tell them how much they're going to spend for the gift, and then they can choose to buy it. And they can choose to buy either multiple gifts or just one gift, and that way they actually see how the money is used. And you can also tell them about borrowing. If you're at the store and they want to borrow or buy something, they don't have their own money, you can tell them, well, I'll let you borrow, but let them know that if they go back home, basically they got to pay you back when you get back home, and let them know if they don't pay you back, well, maybe I'll charge you interest. I'm sure not all parents will say that, but let them know that's how borrowing works in the real world. Okay. So.
And again, if someone needs more information about Essentra Credit Union, how can they get that?
Well, we have some tools at Essentra.org. Also, IowaCreditUnions.com is a great, valuable resource. And just Google whatever you are searching for. If it is, how to talk to kids about budgeting, Google that. And there's many resources out there.
Okay. Again, we're talking with Alvaro Macias with Essentra Credit Union. A quick break, and back with more of our conversation here on Mid-Morning in the Cities on your Easy Choice, 93.9 WYEC. We're your Easy Choice, 93.9 WYEC, and welcome back to Mid-Morning in the Cities. I'm Mike Kochen again today, talking with Alvaro Macias with Essentra Credit Union. In the last segment, Alvaro, we started talking about when it's time to approach teaching kids about money. We talked about the younger ages, but let's talk about an age sector, though, that's very important because they are actually spending money, the teenage years.
Definitely. The teenage years, that's a great time to start. I mean, kids 14 to 18 years old, the one thing you want to discuss is credit cards, because they're the ones that are going to go to college or go out there, and they're going to be bombarded by these offers to get credit cards. And it's okay, that should be the core of it, because they do establish their credit when they get a credit card. This is the time you establish that foundation. You can basically show them how they work. If you have a credit card, show your teenager the actual statement, and basically to show them how much they would pay. Nowadays, the statement will say how much they would actually pay if they only pay the minimum payment, and they could see what a big difference it is. So go over the statement with them. It would be okay for them, once they turn 18, to actually get one let them know it's in case of emergency, but most importantly to establish that credit history, because that'll probably be one of the first things that they get as far as credit. Now with them, you can also, kids 14 to 18 years old, teenagers, you can talk to them about interest, how it works, basically how it works for you, how it works against you. You got a car loan, well, you got interest working against you, so you want the lower number. Now, money market account or any sort of investment, well, you want the higher number to work for you. So explaining those differences, how it works for you and against you. And now there's the time value of money. That's something that, well, even some adults don't know about the time value of money. But here's a really compelling comparison. It made me say, wow, this is really interesting. I'm going to ask you, Mike, basically, which would you choose? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
If I can give you $1 million right now, today, or I'll give you a penny that doubles every day for the next 31 days. Which would you take?
I'd take the $1 million.
All right. Well, you and a lot of the young people, they don't understand the concepts of compounding, the compounding nature of money. What really happens with that penny that doubles every single day is that by day 28, it's worth $1.3 million. So the next day,
I made a mistake.
Yeah. So when I first heard this, I was like, wow, I didn't realize it, but you want to take that million. By day 29, it's 2.6 million. And then day 30, 5.2, and day 31, you're looking at $10.4 million from that one penny that doubled. And that's compounding. You know, of course, that's a magical penny that everyone would wish they could get their hands on. But if you get a teenager between the ages of 14 and 18, and if for that student did nothing but just save their money, and if they saved, their goal is $4,000 a year for the next 4 years, they would have $16,000. Okay. Now, at the end of those 4 years, actually, if they were to take those $16,000 and they were to invest it, basically they'd be multimillionaires by the time they're 65 years of age, because of the power of compounding interest, assuming that they get the average of 8 to 10% return interest. And the way I get that number is with the S&P 500 and investing. The average for the last 100 years has been about 10% gains on their money. So they could be multimillionaires if they just, with that small amount, $4,000 a year. It could be 14, 15, 16 to 17, or 15, 16, 17, 18. If they were to do that. Of course, they don't have the money sometimes, but they do have the time. But so they explaining to them the way money works that way, and also teaching them about saving and investing, basically how to do those things. Okay.
And again, if someone needs more information, how can they go about getting that?
Basically, if they need information on ways to get kids started with savings, they could go to our Central Credit Union and ask them for a little piggy bank. When you open up an account with for a kid, you can get a little piggy bank, penny the piggy bank, and whenever they fill it up, they bring it back, they can only do this once a year. If they bring it back full, they get extra $5. So we're doing our part to help encourage kids to save. Of course, with the older kids, well, you can definitely find some tools online, or IowaCreditUnions.com is a great site.
Okay, take a break and back with more of our conversation. Again, we're talking with Alvaro Macias with the Central Credit Union here on Mid-Morning in the Cities on your Easy Choice 93.9 WYEC. Welcome back to Mid-Morning in the Cities on your Easy Choice 93.9 WYEC. I'm Mike Kokett, again talking with Alvaro Macias with the Central Credit Union today, talking about raising money-savvy kids. How about locations to teach money conversations?
You can talk to kids about money at the credit union when you're shopping for clothes, grocery shopping, or preparing for college. That's a great time when you're buying a new car, and when you're saving money for a trip. And you can tell them, hey, we're going to set aside so much, or we're going to skip these things because we're trying to save for that trip that we'll share as a family.
Okay. And quickly, allowance. How does a person approach allowance?
Well, general rule of thumb is $1 for every year of age. Now, here's the difference where you can decide. You got an 8-year-old kid. Well, you can decide, well, are you going to give him $8 a week or $8 a month? There's 4 factors: your child's age, the income of the family, also where you live, because if if there's mass transit or the kids eat out when they get home and they wait for the parents to come home from work, and also what the allowance is used for. If they need that sort of spending cash to take the bus or whatever the case may be, look at all those things. But yeah, the rule of thumb: $1 for every year of age, and you decide whether it's a month or a year or a week.
Okay. And how do we teach children, kids, about raising money?
Basically, no harping. Make it educational. Become their mentor. Be their coach. Guide them through this.
Okay. And again, if someone needs more information, how can they go about getting that?
There's plenty of resources online. You can go to IowaCreditUnions.com. Also, the Iowa Credit Union Foundation online. Google their website. I forget what the actual website address is, but also our Centra Facebook will be putting a lot of helpful tips that people can look at. So look at our Centra Facebook, like us. Make sure that you become our buddy on there.
All right. Alvaro, I want to thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much, Mike. It was a pleasure.
All right. That's going to do it for Mid-Morning in the Cities for today on your Easy Choice 93.9 WYEC.